Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3881, and today's date is April 12th, 2026, and the title of the episode is IMF warns old system is in trouble. Trump is setting the stage for a new economic system. Now, we all know Wall Street doesn't lose money on sell-offs. You do. They create the panic, wait for you to dump your position out of fear and scoop it up at a discount. The big banks aren't selling their gold, they're buying yours. Every time the headlines scream, regular people sell, every time regular people sell, the institutions are right there, waiting with open hands. You built portfolio insurance for a reason. Don't let a red day hand it over to the people who cause it. That's why I tell people to talk to Noble Gold Investments. They will help you build a long-term plan and, more importantly, help you stick to it when the noise gets loud. The minors' up and downs, that's weather. The long-term trend, that's climate. And the climate has been favoring gold for 5,000 years. So the next time you see a dip and you feel that knot in your stomach, ask yourself one question. Am I making this decision, or is Wall Street making it for me? Don't let them shake you out of the position you built to protect yourself. That's exactly what they want. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands, that's the whole point. Go to X22Gold.com. That is X22Gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you could see with everything that Trump is doing, he's now setting the stage for the new economic system. But before we go into a new economic system, you have to reset the old one. And that's what Trump is doing. Remember, the deep state players going back to the beginning of COVID, back to March 2020, we had Prince Charles at the time, who's now king. We had Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum telling us this is the perfect time for the Great Reset. And what Trump is doing right now is actually he's reversing it all. He's setting the stage and basically setting everything up for the new economic system. And he's going to put a lot of pressure on all these countries that were going along with this ridiculous Great Reset. And basically, you could see that Trump now is shifting everything. And a lot of these countries, they're going to push back. They're going to say, we're not going to do what you say. But again, in the end, these countries are going to fold. And there'll be no way out of it. And in this country, in the United States, you could see every step of the way, he's preparing and planning for the new system, while the European system completely implodes. I think the IMF was out there letting everyone know, warning everyone that because of what's happening in Iran, we're going to see the economic system really start to fall apart. Now, what they're really talking about their old system. Their old system is going to start to come down. The United States system is not. You're going to see two different systems. The one that Trump is building right now with the parallel economic system with the tariffs, and you're going to see the old central bank system. You see, this is affecting their system. Trump is putting pressure on their system. And this is when the IMF or the central bank or any other banking system comes out and says, hey, look, it's disrupting the entire system. Yeah, it's their system. Just like when COVID hit, it interrupted their entire globalist centralized system of trade. And then companies started to realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't be based in China. Maybe we should move out, because if everything fell apart, we're trapped in all of this. The same thing is happening right now. And you can see that most of these countries, because they're installed by morons, well, that's what the deep state players love. They love the morons in control, because this way you can control the moron. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. And eventually what's going to happen is the people of their countries are going to start to realize this is definitely the wrong direction. X-Freeze put this out and said, for the first time in history, UK welfare benefits spending has now overtaken the entire income tax revenue. The UK now spends $334 billion on welfare annually. Every single penny of income tax paid by working Brits gone straight to welfare. And it's still not enough. That means nearly 40% of all tax revenue, income tax, corporation tax, VAT, everything combined goes purely to welfare before roads, schools, defense, or anything else. To put all of this in perspective, the welfare spend is about $334 billion. Total taxes collected, $858 billion. Here is the wild part no media talks about. A significant portion of that welfare goes to the people who arrived illegally, where housed in hotels at taxpayer expense, and the government just puts them on benefits indefinitely. And many immigrants just don't even want to work, but enjoy the welfare benefits the UK government provides, leeching off the working class. Meanwhile, native Brits who've paid in their whole lives wait months for support, and it's accelerating. In 2022, $254 billion. 2024, $313 billion. 2025, $334 billion. 2029 forecast, $360 billion. The working class built this country. Now they're taxing to the ground to fund a system that punished work, reward dependency, and leaves the people who paid in their whole lives waiting months for help. No country can survive this madness. UK political system is the most corrupt and well beyond broken. Absolutely. And you can see what's happening in Europe. This is what they're trying to do here in the United States, in many different states. If you look at Minnesota, if you look at New York, if you look at California, if you look at Oregon, if you look at Seattle, they're all following the same exact footsteps. And yes, I know there's other states that are included in all this, but you can see this is where they've been pushing everything. And what's happening right now is Trump now is basically shifting their entire system. Everything that they wanted to do is now being shifted. And if you really look at it, it's basic universal income that they're trying to push here. And it's not going to work whatsoever. And as Trump dismantles their own system that they set up going all the way back into the 60s, yes, we had the central bank in 1913, but if you go to the 60s to the 70s, this is when they established their petrodollar system across the world. And basically, they've been pushing this system very, very hard because eventually, what do they want? They want the old system to crash, and they want to bring us into their new system and shift everything to China. I think we all realize that now. And the IMF now is basically warning everyone that what's happening in Iran will slow global growth, raise inflation, and worsen food insecurity. So basically, the head of the IMF right now, the managing director, is putting out this warning. So basically, the translation to all of this is that their old system is falling apart. Their old system, which is based in all of this, is going to fail. So think about it. Europe is still following the old system. As Trump dismantles the old system, yes, it will fail. Will they see higher energy? Absolutely. Will they see inflation? Absolutely. Now, is there a fix to this? Absolutely. All they have to do is reverse what they did, but they don't want to do that. So now you're going to see the entire European community, Australia, New Zealand, and every other country, all of a sudden you're going to see their economy start to falter. And basically you're going to see it start to really fall apart. And they're going to say, hey, look what's happening to the world. It's not the world. The United States is moving in a completely different direction. Trump has already set the stage for this. And this is why he's been bringing in tariff money. This is why he's been selling the gold card. This is why we're now going to sell energy across the globe. You see what he's doing? He's taking control of this system. In the meantime, in the background, he's setting everything up, preparing the entire country. Now, like we said before, there are states that are out there that are still following the same agenda as Europe. All you got to do is look at Virginia is one of them. Actually, Trump decided to make mention of Virginia, and he put this out on Truth. He said, heading to Virginia for meetings at Trump National. I can't believe this new Governor Spanberger has done to the Commonwealth. So sad. She's adding so many taxes and food and beverage tax, digital service tax, utility tax, and more. It has lost its energy, vitality, and strength. People are leaving that would never have even thought of doing so. New companies that signed to come into the Commonwealth under Governor Youngkin are now looking for ways to get out, break their deal. It all happened so fast. This went from a thriving and powerful place, one envied by all, to a Commonwealth run by a person who has no concept of low taxes and economic strength. People that voted for Spanberger are saying to themselves, why did I do that? What have I done? We have a similar situation in New York and most of all California, where rich, job-producing people and companies are being forced to flee at levels never seen before. The tax base in California is literally disappearing. As soon as the richest people and companies in the world have no choice but to leave, they want to put on a wealth tax, which gives them absolutely no alternative. As President of the United States, I am embarrassed to watch the destruction of a once great and thriving state. These politicians are all sinking in the polls, but that doesn't help because they will create trillions of dollars worth of destruction. Incalculable amounts. Remember, once people and companies leave, they never come back. President DJT. And you could see this in California. You could see this in New York. Why do you think Governor Hochul was out there saying, listen, hey, you know all those people that went out to Palm Beach? Now, we all know Wall Street doesn't lose money on sell-offs. You do. They create the panic, wait for you to dump your position out of fear and scoop it up at a discount. The big banks aren't selling their gold, they're buying yours. Every time the headlines scream, regular people sell, every time regular people sell, the institutions are right there, waiting with open hands. You built portfolio insurance for a reason. Don't let a red day hand it over to the people who cause it. That's why I tell people to talk to Noble Gold Investments. They will help you build a long-term plan and, more importantly, help you stick to it when the noise gets loud. The minors up and downs, that's weather. The long-term trend, that's climate. And the climate has been favoring gold for 5,000 years. So the next time you see a dip and you feel that knot in your stomach, ask yourself one question. Am I making this decision or is Wall Street making it for me? Don't let them shake you out of the position you built to protect yourself. That's exactly what they want. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands. That's the whole point. Go to X22Gold.com. That is X22Gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Yeah, you took all your money. We didn't expect that. Why don't you send it back and help us with our social programs? Why in the world would anyone want to do that? It makes no sense whatsoever. And you can see by doing this, by doing what they're doing right now, they're going to destroy their state. Just like Europe. Europe is following the same exact path. They're following the same path of destruction. And they will destroy themselves. Trump and the Patriots, they know it. And basically, sometimes you just don't interfere with an enemy while in the process of destroying themselves. And you know what's going to happen when everything really starts to fall apart? The people are going to rise up. And the people are going to say, enough is enough. We've had enough. I mean, look what's happening out in California already. Yes, they have a lot of taxes on gas, and I'm sure they would love to put even more taxes on gas and many other things. And as they do this, they drive more and more businesses out of the state. And as more businesses and more people leave the state, what happens? They have to add more taxes because they have to remember, they've been pretty much cut off from federal funding. So now they're having a very difficult time. Plus, they used to get funding for the sanctuary cities. They used to get funding for their other projects, which they money laundered. Now that's coming to an end. So what do they got to do? They got to look inside to get that money, to keep everything operational. And what happens when people start to leave their states? What happens when businesses start to leave their states? They can't make ends meet. So what do they got to do? They got to raise the taxes again. And it's a never-ending cycle. But what's very interesting, independent Representative Kevin Kiley is moving to hit high-tax states where it hurts, their federal funding. Kiley has now introduced the Gas Tax Reduction Act, a bill that would cut federal highway funding to states that maintain gas taxes at or above 50 cents per gallon, a direct financial penalty tied to state tax policy. The bill targets states like California, where gas taxes are among the highest in the nation, and pump prices remain high. Well, once again, we're looking at this, I think, in the wrong way. Yes, we can continually put this legislation into place, but if you don't go to the source of the problem, all you're doing is combating the symptoms. And another symptom will then evolve, and then another symptom. So basically, instead of doing all of this, why don't we just go to the source of the problem? Why do they have this problem? Where are they getting their money from? Can we stop the flow of money? Absolutely. And if you could do that, that shuts all of this down, and you don't need all these ridiculous laws. So if you go to the source of the problem where they get their money, which is the Federal Reserve, yes, it goes through Congress. Yes, then it goes to them, and it's money laundered out to all the different areas. But if you shut off the spigots, you shut pretty much everything down. And if you have a finite amount and everything is tracked, they can't do this at all. You don't need any of these laws anymore. Actually, if you get rid of the Federal Reserve, what happens? The value of the currency is then maintained. It's stable. It has value. And it doesn't lose value over time. And since it's not losing value, you don't need to raise the minimum wage. You don't have to do all these things that you were doing before. So I do believe the answer to all of this is go to the source of the problem. Now, with everything that's going on, It's understandable that people believe that the economy is not going to get better over time. Because again, we're still stuck in a central bank system. Trump has been building the foundation to the new system. He's been setting the stage for the new system, reorganizing everything out in the Middle East. Because you have to remember, when Kissinger went out there, what did he do? He organized everything to make everyone dependent on the oil out in the Middle East, not in the United States, not in Venezuela, not in Russia, not anywhere else except there. Yes, you can get oil other places, but that was the main focal point. Now Trump is decentralizing what they centralized. That's the whole point of this. So yes, like Rasmussen puts out a post on X and says fewer Americans now see their financial situation getting better, and most don't expect it to improve soon. Actually, I know people are saying, see, look, the financial system's not doing well. People are down. They're looking at Trump going, oh, look what he did. He ruined everything. But actually, this might work to his advantage, because as we get closer and closer to the midterm, and all of a sudden everything starts to shift around, and the economy all of a sudden starts to improve rapidly, which I do believe is going to happen, all of a sudden everyone's going to go, whoa, wait a minute. What's going on here? I thought there was no hope, but look what's going on here. And all of a sudden everything changes. So I think this is going to come as a shock to many, many people. And like we said before, Trump now is basically turning the tables on the deep state players, and he's resetting everything they put into place. I'm going to read part one of Joe Lange of what he's talking about with the powerful reset. He says, anybody catch this cryptic post by Trump on True Social? World's most powerful reset? Does anybody remember the WEF's version of the Great Reset? COVID-19 lockdowns may be gradually easing, but anxiety about the world's social and economic prospect is only intensifying. There is a good reason to worry. A sharp economic downturn has already begun, and we could be facing the worst depression since the 30s. But while this outcome is likely, it is not unavoidable. To achieve a better outcome, the world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our society and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. Every country from the United States to China must participate, and every industry from oil and gas to tech must be transformed. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. The COVID shutdowns were supposed to be the beginning of a forced worldwide reset that would completely enslave the world financially. Capitalism would be dead and everything would be controlled. But Trump has ruined all their plans. World's most powerful reset. A deal was finally reached. A deal on what? The Clarity Act. The Clarity Act has been held up in the Senate from passage over one main sticking issue: yield, interest payments on stablecoins. The big banks don't want the law to allow crypto companies to offer their customers interest payments on their stablecoin deposits. They can't compete. Now, notice the timeline. The House passed the Clarity Act in July of 2025. It stalls in the Senate as a battle between the banks and the crypto companies fight over yield. This is the entire reason why Trump has been pushing stablecoins so hard. Stablecoins destroy corrupt fractional banking. So Trump forced the issue. First, the CEO of Coinbase pulled out of negotiations and very publicly said he wouldn't support the Clarity Act. The bankers thought they had won. But instead, Tim Scott delayed the markup on the bill. That allowed Trump the time to cook. President Trump has thrown his support behind crypto firms in their high-stakes battle with U.S. banks over whether they can offer interest-like returns on stablecoins. Trump, in social media post late Tuesday, ratcheted up pressure on banks to relent on the stablecoin yield issue. That's the key point of contention holding up passage in Congress of the Clarity Act, which is a companion bill to the Genius Act approved last year, setting up a framework for regulated stablecoins. The Genius Act is being threatened and undermined by the banks, and that is unacceptable, Trump said in a post. They need to make a good deal with the crypto industry because that's what's in the best interest of the American people. Trump publicly went against the banks in the best interest of the American people. Then came this statement applying pressure to the banks. White House economists have shrugged off concerns from bankers that allowing cryptocurrency companies to give customers yield would lead lenders to lose their deposit base. In short, a yield prohibition would do very little to protect bank lending, while foregoing the consumer benefit of competitive returns on stablecoin holdings, the report read. Competition and what's best for the American people. Then Bissent holds an emergency meeting with the Fed big banks to discuss a new Anthropic AI model that could rapidly search and exploit vulnerabilities in bank software. The surprise meeting between the bank chiefs and the two most powerful federal monetary regulators was a signal that advanced capabilities of AI are a top concern in the Trump administration and could threaten the foundation of the U.S. financial system. See the setup? Pressure being applied to force change. Absolutely. And basically, he has turned the tables on all of them. And as time goes on, you're going to see that Trump has maneuvered the entire system away from the bankers. And as he maneuvers the entire system away from the bankers, he's bringing it back to the people. The control is going to be brought back to the people. Remember, going back in time, of course, back to 1913 and then World War II when we became the reserve currency, then in 1971 when we came off the gold standard, and then 2008 when we went full central bank system where they controlled everything. Trump now is reversing all of this and setting up the system that will actually go against the central bank system. Yes, he has the tariff system. Yes, he has the gold card system. Yes, he has the energy cell system. But he's also working within the framework of the U.S. economy, where he's setting it up with stable coins so he can compete against the central bank. So this way, if they try to do anything, if they try to make a move, it's going to be very, very difficult because, again, as you're weeding yourself off the central bank system, you have all these pieces into place, you really don't need the central bank system anymore. And that's why he needs all these things done. So as time goes on, we're going to see that the stage has been set, and now he's rerouting everything around the world. Remember, they centralize everything, and I'm talking about energy, and that is huge. They centralize this in the Middle East. What is Trump doing right now? He's decentralizing it worldwide. Just like when we had COVID, basically we had a centralized system. Now, what has Trump done? He's decentralizing it all, especially with placing tariffs on all different countries. So every step of the way, everything they try to do, he basically reverses what they're doing. And now he's setting up the entire system globally for the people system. And this will spread across the world. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.